use the 2-inch round brush on all the pieces, unless a client specifically is getting a makeover and I can tell she has super short hair, she's got super short layers. We're gonna cut this a lot shorter, and you can tell she like curls her hair with a curling iron. Then I might use the like 1-inch round brush, but that's personal preference for me. I just like it to have like a lot of volume, because a lot of times, especially for the 5 to 6 fulls, ladies are coming in because they want all that height on the top. Okay, so the 2 rings around the edges are the polyurethane. We want to make sure to pin only through that part so that the mesh in the middle doesn't create a hole. If you just do it 1 or 2 times by accident, it's okay, but over time that can create a hole and you lose a little bit of hair in the piece. So we're gonna take this through here, and I kind of just sit it on the top where I want it to be and put my finger underneath where I can feel the polyurethane, and you can kind of see from underneath there it going through there. Now, a lot of clients or stylists will put this pin straight down. If you do that on all 4 pieces, then when you're blowing it dry, it's actually gonna still be able to come out. So you wanna take this, and you always wanna point the end of the needle going towards the middle of the head. And this creates it to, you know, all of them are going in towards this direction, so when you're pulling it, it cannot come off. And it doesn't have to be exactly in each corner, but that's just kind of how I like to do it. I'm just gonna kind of dampen it with the water. You want to make sure to get it wet enough, because sometimes stylists won't get it wet enough, and then it still kind of has that S pattern in it from the body wave. So just make sure that you get enough water in there. You definitely want to make sure that you get the ends because it has the wave in it, but you also want to make sure that you get the roots really good, especially if you're going to change the part. This needs to have more water in it up here than even the back. All right, so once we put the water in there, I always take the moisture repair spray and just kind of spray like 2 or 3 times, kind of go 8 inches away from the head. And then now we're gonna blow dry. So I use the 2-inch brush, and I like to use a ceramic brush that heats up in the middle. I just think it does better, and it creates less work for you on the back end after it's dry. So I actually flip the head upside down to get a little bit more of the water out, kind of like I do with my own hair when I'm blowing it dry. But you just want to make sure that when you do that, that you're not just taking it and blowing all the hair this way, because if you do, when you flip it back up, it's actually going to have like a hump in the back from where that hair was being blown this way. So whenever I blow it out, I actually take it this way, and I take probably 1/3 of the piece and bring the hair back this direction to ensure that it's not going to create that hump. And then I kind of move this all around, and then once I do that, I might bring a little bit more hair back this way and keep doing it that way until we sit it on the head and use the round brush. Another way that the hump can happen is if this head is tilted too far back and you're doing the round brush. It's tilted like this and you're doing it, you'll think that it's okay, and then when you lift it up, it's all of a sudden got that hump. I know Holly's shaking her head because we've all done that before. So just make sure that it's sitting kind of more straight forward, just like a person's head would be like in your chair, like the person's looking straight ahead. I like to start at the front and work my way back. And a lot of clients like to use clips, or stylists like to use clips to blow it dry. I don't do that in section. I feel like it blends more seamlessly whenever you don't have the clips, but that's just my personal preference. When you're first starting out, you might want to do that, but it does look better if you just do it kind of all at one time without sectioning it off. And see, just going down like that instead of going up like this, so that hump doesn't get in It is kind of hard to make sure that the mesh is all the way dry. So if you have it on the cold and put it on there, it makes it a little bit easier where you don't have to worry about putting too much heat on it. Okay, so these little hairs that are sticking up are actually called return hairs. They are there intentionally so that it makes it look more natural, just like your own hair has regrowth that's coming in or broken off pieces. And so these do stick up a little bit. If they, if you don't want as many, all you have to do is just spray a little bit of hairspray and run your fingers through it, and it's going to have more of a natural appearance. But it also does help to give more volume up underneath to give you that really full appearance that you're looking for. So. And that's how we do. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with how we pin it onto the head. We want to do one almost on each corner, and we want to make sure that when we're pointing that the sharp end goes towards the middle so that it is really easy to stay on. Okay, so I'm going to spritz this down with water, get it pretty damp, put the moisture of hairspray in there, and then we'll get started with blowing this one dry, and then we'll curl it. Especially with this one, you want to make sure to get the base really good around the edges and the part really good. Blowing it dry from shampooing it is going to be a lot more damp. So you'll just do that process of it kind of being upside down and blowing it dry without the round brush, just getting a lot of the dampness out of it. You'll do a lot more of that before you end up actually using the round brush. You want it to be like 90%, 85% dry before you really put the round brush in there. You'll always think it's wet enough, and then it never is. You have to put cold water. For those of you who have scrunchy hair or wavy hair, all of the pieces have a natural body wave in them, so you can use a diffuser with the blow dryer, or you can actually just let it air dry after you part it the way that you want, and you can put product in it to kind of make it more like your hair texture and blend in with your hair texture. So you have your initial part on the front, and then I like to take just a little small section of hair and kind of start that way, and then I'll kind of work my way down, and that just creates more volume on the sides so that it doesn't look and give that like wiggy appearance on the top. You can use a nozzle on the blow dryer also, but I personally just don't like to use one, but that's just personal preference. the way dry, it's never gonna be smooth the way it's supposed to. Same thing with your own hair. I like to take it and I don't do a lot of sections. I don't let it set until it's cold and then run my fingers through it. If you're wanting your topper to be styled really, really curly, then you can curl it and let it set until it cools and then run your fingers through it. But because this one, I'm showing how to do like an online order, we want it to be in between curly and in between straight. And so that's why we use the largest iron and why we don't do a lot of sections in it. So when we run our fingers through, it's kind of in between the two. And I start at the top and just kind of slowly work my way down. It depends on if you want it all the way curly or if you want the ends to be a little bit straight. When I curl mine, I want the ends to be a little bit straight. When we do it for online orders, we do it curly all the way to the ends. So I do just like a little section in the front. Then I kind of go in. Sorry, can y'all see? Do another section. Also, the temperature on your iron, make sure that you put it, make sure you're using a professional iron. And then make sure that you're putting it on the lowest heat setting. And if it curls, then leave it on that. If it doesn't, then you can, keep doing it up just a little bit higher until it'll curl well. I put mine on a hotter heat setting only because I don't leave it on the hair very long at all. Some clients don't curl the hair quite as fast as, us professionals do. So that's why I always advise just having it, on the lowest heat setting. Also, you can curl it on your own head. That's what I do with mine. I clip it in, and then I curl my own hair and the hair of the topper all together. You don't have to do that every single day, but that's how I like to curl it. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. Spray it on there. And then now I'm just going to run my fingers through it and then I'll spray it again. That's what it should look like. Obviously, you can straighten it or make it curlier or scrunch it, but for online orders, this is how we want to do it. So if you're about to purchase a topper volume extension from the Lauren Ashtyn collection, this is how it's going to come to you. And always remember when you're shampooing it and you're about to blow it dry that the name is in the back. There we go. Voila.